Hello all, welcome back to my devlog. Usually I give an update on the progress of MakeBit, but for the past few months, I dedicated my time to finishing other exciting projects that I have started in the year 2021. Here's a recap of those projects. The first project was a custom electronic picture frame I made for a Christmas gift. This picture frame lets people send pictures to it via email, and they will automatically appear on the frame's rotation. There is an extensive write-up on this project on my website, so I do not feel the need to repeat it here. I will have a link to this in the description. The second project was a crash course on 3D rendering. I've done some 3D rendering before with program art, but this time around I wanted to do some experimenting on more advanced rendering techniques with high-quality models. For this, I used the PMX file format that is used by the program Miku Dance as my inspiration and my benchmark. The basic mesh data was extracted pretty easily. From there, I added texturing and did several passes on shading to try to match the original program. Once the model looked right, I started looking into animation. Unlike a lot of other 3D file formats, PMX files treat morphs as first-class features. A morph is a type of animation that blends the vertices of a mesh between two poses. This allows for better control over complex transformations than using bones. Speaking of bones, skeletal animation was also added. Bones in Miku Dance are weird because they can have two parents instead of the traditional one. This was a cause for a lot of headaches when setting up the rigging due to figuring out what properties of the bone inherit from which parent. From there, I added a basic animation system that would set the transformations of the bones and the values of the morphs at specific times. Everything worked as it should, but things don't seem right. There was a step in the skeletal animation that I skipped over called inverse kinematics, or IK for short. IK is the process of specifying a location for a bone to be in, and the system figures out what angles the affected bones should be in to be visually correct. The system took a while to figure out, but in the end, IK was working in my render and everything animated correctly. The last step for the rendering is physics-based animation for things like hair and clothing. Usually I leave physics anything up to the React Physics engine, but I decided to revisit the Bullet Physics engine since I heard that they made it easier to work with since the last time that I tried it. It took a few passes to stop the model from destroying itself, but in the end, the physics worked as expected, and their transformations were mapped onto the bones. Here are the results of the current complete implementation of the PMX renderer compared to the actual Miku Dance. There are still some edge cases with other models to look into, but this is enough for now. As I stated in the beginning, this was intended to be a learning experience in 3D rendering. Eventually, though, I do intend to make a full 3D game engine using this as its rendering core. The next project is preparations for an event that I did with a bunch of friends. It's called the BizHawk Shuffle. BizHawk is an emulator that runs ROMs from every game console in existence. As of the time of this video, it is capable of running everything through the 5th generation. That is a lot of consoles. BizHawk has a shuffle feature that will randomly select a game to play from a list, and play it for a random amount of time. When time is up, it selects another game to play. It's a cool and fun concept, but in order to make it a good event for my needs, I needed to roll a custom version of the program to fix some serious issues. First, the Canary build of BizHawk requires the user to install 5 versions of the Visual Studio runtimes, 3 versions of .NET, and a version of DirectX from over 10 years ago. Second, starting the shuffle was a many-step process that involved the user navigating many menus, and even navigating the folder hierarchy of the program itself to start. There were other little problems here and there, but these are the big 2 ones. To combat the first problem, I recompiled BizHawk and all of its dependencies, so that all it needs is the latest version of the Visual Studio runtime and a single version of .NET. This took a while, with there being a lot of things that BizHawk depends on that are not included in its GitHub repository. Thankfully, I was able to track them all down and recompile them. For the second problem, I added a button that does all of the steps needed to start the shuffler automatically, making it as easy as it gets. To continue with this line of thinking, all the miscellaneous features that the shuffler does not require were removed to prevent people from accidentally opening them and messing up the settings. With these ease of use changes, the event was overall a success, with some minor problems. I also received some good feedback with more changes to make if I decide to do one of these events again. Lastly, my 8-bit game. I may not have a lot to say about it with these other projects that took up my time recently, but the art pass for the game has been coming along well, and there is more progress to come in the next devlog. It's been a busy 4 months with all these projects going on, and I expect the next 4 to be busy too. But here's where I'll leave the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.